first question comes from Colleen, and she writes to us from Minnesota, and she says, how do I create a business that will become a legacy so that after I leave this earth, it will provide for my family? Colleen, this is such a great question. So many times as we get a little bit older and a little bit more mature, we start to think more bigger picture. We start to think not only about the day-to-day and making rent, but how do you create a legacy? How do you create something that can outlast you and hopefully provide for your children and your children's children? So the advice that I give to you is some that was given to me by a very powerful mentor, and that is to always start with the end in mind. So Colleen, first figure out exactly what type of business you want to create. What does it look like? What type of revenues? What type of impact do you want to make on the world? What type of contribution? And then once you have that vision and you have that identified, peel it back and let's start with something manageable. I call this chunking down. That's a technique I learned when I worked with Tony Robbins, and he would talk about chunking different pieces of information. So have the big vision, have the end in mind, but then let's chunk it down to something manageable. So looking just 1 year out, what needs to happen in order for you to move towards that bigger vision? And then once you've identified all of that in those steps, then look at 5 years out and 10 years out and so forth. So that is really how you create your legacy. You start with the end in mind, but then you pare it back, you chunk it down so that you have manageable pieces that you can execute on that are going to help you constantly move towards that goal. Thank you so much for writing in, Colleen, and we wish you the best of luck on your legacy project.